My name is Nkosi. I live in Washington, D.C., and I'm excited about sharing a little bit about myself and my organization. I was born in Washington, D.C. in 1971. That was about 4 years after the Martin Luther King Jr. uprisings, and the city was left in disrepair. I spent the most part of my childhood and young adult years surrounded by blight and drugs and prostitution. So I'm happy to see the revitalization that's taking place with the city. And I'm glad I participated in it, because when I became an adult, I wanted to see the city get better. So instead of moving to the suburbs, I decided to buy a house and renovate it so that I could contribute towards improving our nation's capital. And in my developmental years, I used to go down to the National Mall, and it used to look completely different than the city at large. The National Mall was cleaner, it was made nicer for tourists and guests. And there was this one brand down there, a tourism brand called I Love DC. And it seemed like people were making a lot of money from the I Love DC brand. And I kind of felt bad because the people who were selling it weren't seemingly from the city, nor did they contribute the money that came from that brand back to the city. And I watched this happen for decades. And then I saw that in 2016, that mark was canceled as a trademark, because I was always interested in intellectual property as well as real property. And when I saw that trademark was canceled and failed to function as a trademark, I saw it as an opportunity, because that was the only prominent tourism brand in Washington, D.C. And it's also expected in the minds, the mental space of the tourists. They're expecting to see I Love DC merchandise. So when I saw that trademark was canceled, I saw it similar to how the Washington Redskins was canceled as a trademark and no longer protected by the Patent and Trademark Office. So I said, well, let's do to I Love DC what was done to the Redskins, where they just rebranded it and made it the Commanders. So I rebranded I Love DC into Love DC. So what you see here is you see the actual trademark that has been filed with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. And it recognizes this mark as the official mark of all Love DC merchandise. So now I can use this mark to authenticate I Love DC merchandise. So we've secured this trademark. We've also secured the domain name ilovedcbrand.com, as well as a same-day delivery here in Washington, D.C. for ilovedc.shop. A lot of the souvenir stores and the souvenir vending stands have been closed down and decimated because of the pandemic. So we're looking at a recovery and a revitalization, where the same trend with gentrification is going to happen in the tourism industry. It's just that now we're positioned to benefit from that revitalization. So we're looking into opening potential retail stores, maybe even licensing out Love DC, building much more current and relevant merchandise that is more relatable and fashionable to the end consumer. Also create more themed merchandise that would be expected when you come to the nation's capital.
Welcome to DC. You know where you're at, the USA count. You're taking it slightly, so I'm taking it slightly. Now how you go, I go, you gon' be right back. Well, we gon' be right here, we gon' be right here. We ain't going nowhere. Welcome to DC. DC, the home of Chuck Brown. Oh, you don't know the sound? Well, let me break it down. The G.O., the G.O., the M.A. and B.O. See though, we've been pumping crank since an embryo, really though. It's the city where the people hold the power, and you can see now.
Here between 19th and 20th Street on I Street. I'm about 5 or 6 blocks from the White House. Next little set I'm looking at here. Look at that. Indian restaurant closed for lease. I don't know what it's office. I guess I don't know what kind of space it is. And then over here, that is open, by the way, whatever that coffee shop is. The coffee shop. I already looked in here through the curtain a little bit. That's empty. That's definitely empty. So this whole thing is, I'm assuming it's all empty, nothing here. And then as I illegally cross the street, here we have this. Retail for lease, go figure, wouldn't have guessed. And then we come around the corner. And this, remember, we are like right next to the White House. We are right next to the White House. This is the worst I've seen. I think this may be the worst in DC I've seen. The whole strip, and this time I'm correct in saying it, the whole strip down here on that side is completely empty. The whole thing. And here's something on this side that's for lease, empty. I wish I could remember what was here, but memory faileth me. So here we go. All the way down. This must be 1, 2, 3, and then 4 if you count the corners. There are 2 corners and these 2 things in the middle. Everything is gone.